Welcome back to Natural Start Run Club. Today we are recapping the Midsouth 50K. If you haven't already gone and watched that, all of us ran it, and you can see us in our most beautiful form. So we're going to talk about it a little bit today. Starting off with, I think 4 of the 6 of us, it was first 50K, correct? Yes. Let's hear thoughts on, jumping beyond the marathon distance and what possibly possessed you to do that.
You guys. The only reason I do anything these days is because of pressure from the run club. In a good way. So yeah, that was really, really hard, but it was a lot of fun with friends. And the course was incredibly difficult. The gravel sucked. I was not the biggest fan of that. Maybe it was the shoes, but I liked the shoes otherwise. I don't know. Still figuring that one out. But it was rolling hills, and that sucked. You could just see them for miles and miles and miles like that. Mm-hmm. But it was still really fun. The first half crushed it. The second half, it crushed me. But yeah, overall, great vibes.
It is a challenging race, though, too. Yeah. I mean, it's a 50K as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say anything marathon distance and above, you're doing some stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think just because you guys were doing it, I was like, I want to hang. That sounds fun. But I had never run a marathon before or anything, not even in training. So I just was really hoping for the best out there.
You jumped. Had you done a half?
Yeah, I've run a half, but not in a race or anything. But I had run that distance before.
You hadn't done a half, race either.
This was my first race.
First race, straight to the 50K. Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Yeah, but I was planning on doing frozen toes, but then missed the cutoff for the sign up, and as hard as I tried, that woman would not let me in. So I thought, well, what are they doing next? And it was the Midsouth 50K, and I thought, I could probably do that.
And you did.
Yeah, and I did. So.
Killed it, too.
Yeah, I feel like I was impressed before. Yeah. Now I'm super impressed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I actually found it to feel a lot easier than the training runs, weirdly. Maybe because there felt like more of a sense of purpose to what I was doing. But yeah, the hills in the second half were probably the hardest part.
For sure.
They were murder, for sure. And you would get to the top of one and be like, that's gotta be it. That's probably the last one. And then you would see in front of you 15 more. So that was probably the most brutal part of the race for me. Yeah.
I wanted to do this because I'd done the 100-mile bike and I was like, let's make it harder. And so I wanted to do both. So I did the double, which is the 50K run and the 100-mile bike. And then I swindled everyone else here into doing a part or all of it. And that was also my first 50K. And I had never run a marathon before either in training. So Taylor, you and I, party crew there.
Yeah.
The longest I'd run, it was a half marathon, probably in high school. So that was a long time ago. And yeah, the hills sucked. The first 15 miles, I felt really good. And the 20-mile mark, I was like, oh, this is not good anymore. Had a few cries. Ate some Sour Patch Kids. And it was fine.
Drank beer.
Drank beer, yeah.
And a fireball shot.
Had a fireball shot, yeah. I'm there to party pace, for sure.
Hell yeah. Oh, okay.
Daniel, tell us about your 50K.
I'd run a marathon before, and then I, again, was also peer pressured into this. I guess I allowed myself to do it because you had to pay money, but whatever. I was going to blame you. But I wanted to do something longer, and so I was like, well, I like to trail run. This sounds fun. And it was fun. Until around mile 27. When I thought my was going to fall off. But no, it was good. The hills weren't the problem for me. It was the gravel that was because I usually run trails, soft, nice ground. I was like, how about we put some glass down? Sick. But no, it was good. I had a good time. I enjoyed it. And the weather was perfect. Like, that was the
Yeah.
best part. The weather was nice.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
I feel like gravel is just really hard because you can never really get flat surface, and it's always
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
Trying to run in like the ruts,
Yeah.
and then they're just like this.
Yeah.
Also, the sun was shining.
Yeah.
The
second half
was shining.
That sucked.
Yeah.
When they trick you at the end, and they're like, "Hey, you're going back the same way." Oh no, you're not. Keep running this way. One of the volunteers who was like directing us, he was like really high. This is when we were maybe, like 0.2 miles.
Yeah.
Like it was like 0.2 from the finish.
Yeah.
And he just was like, he had like high-fived you, and then he like dropped down to the ground and started doing push-ups. It's like, yeah!
What?
This is not the time for this. Get away from me.
Imagine like being at your wit's end.
Yeah.
The sun's shining, you're mad about it.
Yeah.
And this guy
This jabroni.
is doing push-ups. That was crazy.
It was
He just
wild.
lifts an arm that way.
It was wild.
Would you guys do another 50K? Would you go longer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
On
think-
both?
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan and I were talking about this today, and we were like, I think we would do up to like 50 miles, and
Yeah.
then maybe that would be my limit.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Same.
Anything more than that doesn't interest me at the moment.
Yeah. I think while I was doing it, I had several thoughts, especially the last 5 miles, I guess, of why did I sign up for this? I would never do this again. This does not feel good. I'm not enjoying this. And then it was like immediately upon finishing, maybe it was the hug. But I thought to myself, yeah, I'd do this again. It was fun. It was just, you're doing hard things and your body is like rejecting it.
Yeah.
So really big mental battles.
Yeah. I think having 6 of us ran this race, having all of us there was super fun.
Yes.
That made
That-
yeah, great.
That pulled me probably through 5 or 6 miles.
Yeah.
Just having a big group there was awesome.
Agreed.
We touched on it a little bit, you guys did. Tell us a little bit about the course, kind of what your experience with it was. Kevin and I have done one other 50K, so we have a little bit to compare to, but I assume it was mostly road races if you've run races.
Well, what
So,
did you
yeah.
train on? Like, what did you guys train on mostly?
Road.
Road. Yeah, and then I was doing a bit of trail running leading
Yeah.
because I thought it was going to be frozen toes.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly road after that.
I would say a pretty flat road. I was, wholly unprepared. And also I was not very strict with myself on the actual training plan. And I think that is one thing in my mind that going back to do it again, I will be ready because I'll know what to expect and how to train properly. But yeah, primarily road, flat road.
I like the course. I like gravel a lot in general for bike and road, like running. And so it was fun to run on gravel, even though I didn't primarily train on it. I mostly trained on like the greenway around here. It was a lot of fun. I like that the aid stations, like the every 5 miles was so nice. And like there was always kind of a party at the aid stations too. So it was like always exciting to hit them. So I like enjoyed that. I really enjoyed there was like the field section through the cow
Yes.
field.
That
Like
was
that was a lot of fun.
Agreed. That was my favorite part.
Yeah. That was like a fun change of pace. And then like the hills were brutal. The halfway aid station was awesome. Like anything and everything you could dream of was there, which is there's like a lot of really good support for that race, I would say. And then coming into the finish is really deceiving because you can hear the music and you got to turn and run like 5 blocks past it and then turn around and then come in for the finish. So that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Um,
It's where that guy was doing push-ups.
Yeah.
He
Push-up
told me,
zone.
you're right there, you're right there. Well, you have to go about 8 blocks up and then you're right there. I was like, thanks, dude.
Cool. Good to know. Like,
it was that and the cyclists too, like the cyclists like on the course doing, you know, pre-riding the race, and they're like, oh, you're only like 30 minutes. I was like, 30 minutes on a bike is not 30 minutes on foot.
Don't let me do math.
Get out of my face.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Some of the cyclists were great and were nice and were like cheering us on and being helpful, and some of them were like, they had no idea in their mind that we were even there.
Agreed.
They were just kicking up dirt
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
But I liked the course. I thought it was really nice. I really loved the pasture. That was a lot of fun to go through. I liked the water section too. I thought that was
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
The water section was fun. Yeah.
Wait, did you go through the water? Or did you go
No,
around?
I sort of like hopped from stone to
Okay.
stone.
Yeah.
I don't know how that helps them on a bike. Maybe. I don't know.
Wheelie.
You're like, come this way.
Yeah.
Part of that pasture, I thought that was going to negate the end where you kind of come.
Oh, the rollers, yeah.
Because last year when we ran it, it was the same ending where you sort of come up to right next to the finish line and then you run around it. And we're like, oh, we're gonna do a pasture thing. Maybe we don't have to do that at the end. And it was the same thing. And I was like, it's the worst because you
Deceived.
see everybody.
Yeah.
You like look to your right and everything's there.
Mhm.
You're like, keep going.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun that it was on a Friday. Which I thought was fun because we also were like holding up a school bus. So I thought that was cool. Good for those kids. Y'all didn't go to school. You're already in Oklahoma, so that's not, you're starting from zero. Sorry, Oklahoma.
Cut that.
No, stats back that up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, I thought it was fun just because it was a mix. Like all of the aid stations were really fun, good vibe. But then also there were just people like out living their lives being like, oh,
Yeah.
what you guys doing? Have fun. Yeah.
My favorite aid stations were the 10-mile one when Kevin and I finally caught up to you guys. They had pickle juice. Dang, that hit the spot. But then the halfway point had a Bill Nye the Science Guy remix going on the DJ.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in the porta potty listening. That was crazy vibes. I've tried to find that song, but I literally can't.
It was an original mix.
Yeah. I'm like, please send it to me. What's your SoundCloud?
I'm trying to Shazam it.
Oh my gosh. No, that's what, it was so frustrating thinking that you weren't going to have to do that portion because I don't feel like the end is well protected. It's not well like marked.
Yeah.
Like 95% of that course is like great. There's not a whole lot that I would change. The last 5% though,
Yeah.
I really don't love that whenever you're, 30 some odd miles in and you're like, I just want to be back. I know it's right there. Like, I wish we would have just run longer in the cow field to not have to do this.
Yeah,
Because-
even a switchback in the cow field.
Yeah, agreed. Like,
I'd love that.
I'll do little circles in the cow field to not like do this like part at the end in town where it's like so close, but then 8 blocks like more.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
So
I think also hitting the pavement, I guess that was like maybe 2 miles out or
So
something.
far though.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
feels like.
something like that. Less than 5 miles, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, could have shed a tear and kissed the ground.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
I'm
And I
so
felt like I was
thankful.
flying.
Yeah, I was so thankful.
It was incredible.
I also think I would have worn different shoes had I gone back because they're much more conducive to like road running, which I knew going into it, but they were what I was used to, and I was like, I'm just not gonna switch it up now. But
And I
definitely
thought-
would have worn different shoes.
I thought the same thing. I was like, do I buy like trail shoes? But it was like a week out. It's like, probably not a good
Yeah.
idea. But
Well, that is what I did. I ran, well, I did run one long run in them. It was a 20-mile long run. And that was the one at, whatever. But that was the one I ran with you guys. But that was like the second run I've done in those. And they felt good on those trails. They felt good on the road. They did not feel great, I thought, on the gravel. And I don't know why that is. If it's just I don't like gravel, period, or if it's the shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah.
Okay, touched on the course a little bit. Tell us about the generic vibes of the race. Having done again other races, how does this compare to it? And what were the vibes to you?
I'll start. Okay, I've only ever done road races before. I think there's such a different vibe between road race versus trail racing. It's just like feels way more laid back. Road race is like a race. Trail race is like not a race. It's just a vibe. And I thought that was a lot of fun. The overall vibe of Midsouth is summed up in one word, Bobby. And he just is like super hype, and I feel like he wants everyone to experience this like religious feeling or like spiritual, feeling. And I totally get that. And I think a lot of people lean into that. I was expecting that, but I wasn't expecting that level of it. And so I was like, wow, this is like something I've never experienced before. Yeah, it was just a very unique vibe to a race. I've never experienced anything like it. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure you guys all know this, maybe you don't, but Bobby hugs every single person at the end of the race, and it is just a unique experience. It's nice because it's like there's a person that I literally have never met in my life, and he does not know anything about me, and he cares that I do this, and that's a nice feeling. But I have this infamous picture of my husband standing 2 feet away, and he's just like waiting for his turn to hug his wife after doing like the hardest thing in my life. So I think that is just really funny. But overall, good vibes. It's just very unique. I don't know how else to. That sums it up.
I have no other vibes to compare it to, obviously. My first race, but I guess I can compare it to running on my own. I don't know.
There you go.
Which is obviously very different. I feel like training, I'm just sort of trying to distract myself from what's happening to me. And in the race, I felt very present and excited and happy to be there. And it made it a lot easier. And to be in it with everyone was nice. I didn't really get to run with you guys at all, except for Kevin in the last 2 miles, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, which was really nice, very encouraging. That was probably my favorite part of the race. It was so nice to have somebody there with me, because I'm so used to running alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it so much better having someone like a partner to run with.
Which I also love running alone. but it was also really nice to have somebody there with you to encourage you. Yeah. Good vibes.
I really like the Mid-South race vibes, specifically because as a slower runner, I think that it's really cool that Bobby does a really good job, and the Mid-South race team does a really good job of making sure that, if everyone accomplished this, and we won't shut anything down until the last person's done, which I think is so important, because there's been so many races where you see the last few people coming in, and half of the start line is taken, or the finish line is taken down, and there's no stuff left, and everyone's just checked out, and they do a really good job of not doing that, which is nice. And folks are just it's a very laid back vibe. And so it was fun. I got to run with 3 other women who were also doing the double. And so it was fun to chat with them for I ran with them probably on and off for 10 miles. And so it was fun that we kind of connected over that and had a good race together. So overall, a lot of fun. Bobby hug is worth it.
I was not expecting the hug. And so, but I was just kind of dumbfounded, and I think I thought it was gonna last less time than it did. I'm not a natural hugger, but he is.
He is.
Wow, good for him. But no, I think they do an incredible job. I think they do a good job of making it an event for the entire weekend, and making everybody who runs it or participates in it feel like they care about them, and it's special. And so that's really nice. And I think everybody who runs the race too, they're mostly not there. It's different than a road race or a marathon where people are, I've got to get my PR, I've got to do this. It feels people are less, I don't want to say less serious, but they're having more fun, I think, on these races. And I appreciate that, because it's fun. I've talked to people when I was, when we were out there, and learned about people, got to meet as someone who comes to our run club now, I met Ellie out there, so that was pretty exciting. It was her birthday too. She was running 31 for 31.
Oh, that's fun.
So, yeah, I thought it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of the best races that I've been a part of, actually.
I think they do a really good job, also just the whole weekend itself. Because it is such a large, it's primarily gravel,
the bike.
Yeah, it's primarily a gravel event, but such a large amount of people coming into town for something like that too, and everyone's there. So many people that we ran past, and they were biking or just passing through town or something like that, or just cheering you on. And that's super cool. It's also you're coming out here to do something hard. We're going to do something hard as well, and we're all out here to do it together. I've always felt that was. You feel seen, I guess, regardless of whether or not you do it fast, slow.
Yeah, I agree with all that. The thing yeah, I think it's an incredible race that they put on. I think the hype for it is like super big. It's always crazy the like content and stuff that Mid-South puts out, and I feel like that's what got probably you hooked initially, and then subsequently all of us as a result of that. And then yeah, it's just super high energy. It's a very like intense like experience, kind of what you were saying, just that there's lots of hard things happening, and there's I don't know, there's something about doing that with other people, even if they're just complete random strangers. But and then I think outside of the race, the biggest kind of new vibe for us as compared to last year was we had all of this group, and then we also had what, three more bikers, and then some other people that just came and like hung out with us. And I thought that that was super, super fun. We got like a massive Airbnb that all of us stayed in. And so that kind of elevated the whole experience for me, at least. I thought that that kind of took the event and then like added another like super cool piece to it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. I loved doing that. It was so fun.
all right, talking a little bit about the vibes. Onward with what worked for you in the race. What did you like walk away from? There's obviously a lot of new experiences here. So what did you walk away feeling like? I'm glad I did that.
I think I'm glad that I stuck to a training plan, whether it was, I don't know if it was the best one, it was just what this app told me to do, and I just did that. What worked, and I think that just, I think, mentally prepared me more than anything. I think I've always had a knack, just as a person, for suffering and like suffering well, I guess. And I think that to put it to the test, like physically in training, really helped me a lot to do it on the day, because on the day it felt so much easier. I don't know, that it my body felt like I didn't feel pain in the same way that I did during training, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that helped me a lot, probably.
Was that the first time because did you buy you had like a water bag and everything like that?
Yeah,
was that the first time you had used that?
I had used it a couple times on some longer runs when I was training, and I was considering not using it during the race, just because there were the aid stations, and about every 5 miles was when I was taking gels or anything. But I'm glad I did take it, because it just felt like reassuring to have it with me and on me, just in case, I was feeling like I was really dwindling or something. Knowing that I had it on me was good for me mentally, I think. Yeah.
Technical things that worked for me, or practical things, that worked for me. Tailwind, 100%, I think just helps supplement like calories. Huma gels, newfound love. I hated them the first time I tried them, and now I love them.
Well, it worked. I think for me mentally, like doing the like 20-ish mile training trail run, that was really, really hard. Thanks, Daniel.
Okay.
It was
You
so hard.
asked for this.
Daniel picked the route, and it was hillier than ever and really hard, and it was like 80 degrees. It was so
It did get
hot.
hot.
Daniel told me that you guys were doing that, and I was like, yeah, I know, I'm not going.
She's like, maybe.
I'm like,
no, I won't be
"There's
there.
But mentally, though, that helped me
Yeah.
out a
Agreed.
lot.
Me too.
Mentally helped a lot there. But it was also, that was the longest run I had done prior. So after like that 20-mile mark, I was like, this is uncharted territory. And it's still another 12 miles. I was like, oh gosh, help. I think the vest worked really well. I liked having everything on me and being able to just like stash stuff. Like I stashed a beer in mine for like 5 miles for a photo op, because that is what motivated me. I don't know, in the 20-mile section.
And you got that photo, too.
And I did get that photo.
That was a good photo.
Yeah, did that photo. Didn't even drink the whole beer, by the way. Just like drank a few sips, and then was like, I'm done.
You take this back for me.
Yeah.
Recycle this.
Here's a dumpster right here. Let's see what else I really enjoyed. Having headphones worked really great. A lot of Taylor Swift was played, which is great. I'm trying to think what
Other
else.
pop stars are available.
Not on Catherine's phone.
Yeah.
Not when I'm running. Okay. Overall, like, Tailwind, again, great stuff. Ask me again after the 100-mile bike ride if I still like Tailwind. I don't know, but Tailwind during the run was great. Sour Patch Kids, great. Pickle Juice,
Yes. Always hits.
always hits. Yeah. Overall, I feel like I felt prepared. I was ready to struggle. The last few miles, I cried a little, and that didn't work. But did it work? I don't know.
Things got there.
I finished.
Yeah,
So
you did it.
you did.
What? Probably nothing works for me. I don't know. It's abysmal now.
It's all right. We'll get to what didn't work if
I figured
you
that
just want to
was
hold
the
off for that.
No, I thought, actually eating and drinking things was probably good, because usually I don't, like, take any.
Mm-hmm.
I just torture. I, like Taylor, I'm good at punishing my body. So it was, I knew that I needed to, like, okay, you need to actually eat stuff and drink. And so I did that at all the aid stations, and I had a vest, which that was the first time I'd used it. And it was good. It worked well. It didn't chafe, nothing. I didn't have any chafing or anything, or like, I felt pretty good up until like mile 27, 28, when it was like past the marathon point, and then we were like, it gets on uncharted territory. I was like, what am I doing? I had an existential crisis. My body wanted to fly. But I feel like, overall, the training, I stuck to the training plan pretty well. Yeah.
I feel like most of something I learned from last year's Midsouth and other races is just trying to be as prepared as I possibly can. So for me, like, I went and bought a bunch of hand bottles, so that way at the halfway point I had them all filled, and I would just dump those and then grab new ones and then be ready to go. And that was something that I had taken, like, a lessons learned. It's so weird that would be different though, like they're different sizes.
Boy, was it.
So strange.
It was so different.
In my training runs, I'm not a big eater before runs either. I'll do gels during the runs, but I don't typically eat before I run. And I think having, like, a big breakfast before, like, we all got together in the morning and cooked breakfast, and I think that helped me a lot. Kind of stay energized longer throughout the race too, and maybe I need to change that. But
What worked for me? I feel like pretty much everything was almost the same for this race. Like, I wear the same shoes. I think I had the same exact model of shoes as last year. Same clothes. It's pretty much the
singlet
same.
and same shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unwashed.
Yeah.
But
Same
different
watch.
gums.
Different. Yes, we'll get to that on what not to do.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like I've got my, like, race setup fairly locked in at this point, which I just feel like takes some time to figure out what, like, works for you.
Yeah.
There's still things that I'm figuring out what not to do. So we'll segue what not to do and what you figured out, what did not work for you.
So what did not work for me was, 1, starting out way too strong. 2, I did not follow my training plan well. 3, I did have a little bit of coffee before. I never do that. I don't know why I did that. It does not help me go, if you know what I'm saying. It just upsets my stomach. So that was actually insane that I did that. So I also ran with a hydration vest, and it has these flat, like, flask bottles that are like bladder bottles. They sit very nicely in there, perfectly in fact, and have, like, tall straws. So I do that. And at the halfway point, I switched those out because I don't have more of those for these handheld Nathan water bottles that are also flasks, but they're round, and put them there. And it literally was a world of difference. It felt like 20 pounds heavier. It was not fun. It was not good. I always eat Uncrustables as a treat to myself on long runs. And I opted to not eat the Uncrustable, but to grab a Rice Krispie treat, which I never eat, but I love. And
Rice
I
Krispie.
felt
Shout out
extremely
Kelly.
nauseated after the Rice
I
Krispie.
don't know what that.
The Rice Krispie betrayed me, and that was also not great. Oh, and also I did not put sunscreen on my shoulders, and they got a little tiny bit burnt, and they peeled.
Hell yeah.
So that did not work. I think that's it.
I would have worn different shoes. I would have worn more like trail-oriented shoes, I think, if I could go back in time. And I think I also would have consumed a lot more food immediately after the race. I struggle with that running generally. I really have no appetite after a big run. So I have to sort of force feed myself, but I didn't do that. I had the beer and I was like, that's enough, probably. I'm sure that'll do. And then, yeah, so those are the two things I would have done differently.
There are a few things I would change about mine. I was under sunscreened, which is a silly mistake, I feel like. I didn't wear a hat this year, which was fine for the first 20 miles, but then sun absolutely came out and it was very warm. And the biggest thing is I scheduled a small oral surgery 2 weeks before. So really screwed up my training, really screwed up the amount of pain I was experiencing leading up to the race. I didn't really have a whole lot race day other than my mouth felt really gritty, but I assume that was just being on gravel. So, but not advisable. I would look at your calendar better than I did before you sign up for an oral surgery, because you have to schedule those things way out, but we had signed up for Midsouth way out too, so that was absolutely on me.
I thought it was on purpose.
No.
I thought it was a very last minute, oh yeah, I just scheduled this for next week.
No, they were
Okay, that
6
makes
months
more
out.
sense.
And so
For a whole month, I've been like, what the hell was he thinking? I just sitting on my
Hey,
couch, and it dawns
Look at
on
those
me.
chompers. Look at these guys. Look how good they look.
Gummy boy.
Wait, we gotta insert a video of post-surgery.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll include a quick video of
That's
me immediately after the surgery, under the influence of how I thought the race was going to go.
Just think about this redemption arc from surgery to winning the double. Crazy.
That's right.
What I love too is you were filming a video during it, and you thought you were filming yourself.
Yes.
But you were filming outside of the car.
Yeah.
And it was like a car column in the middle of the video the whole time.
It was great.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
so I've trained myself enough to video, but I wasn't cognizant enough to know which way it was
Classic.
was
Sam.
filming.
Beautiful.
So,
It was great. It was funny to watch in live time too.
what about you? What would you change?
What I would change is not spraining my ankle a few months before. I had sprained my ankle in October, I guess is when it was. Which still feels really far out, but mind you, I've been jumping from couch to 50K. So that didn't really work very well. I was already on a tight training plan, and so then that knocked me out for 3 weeks. So I went on the Caleb Belcher training plan.
You had oral surgery?
Surprisingly not that part. So, but overall, I think that didn't work well for me. I think, I don't know, I had a good outfit. The vest worked great. It all worked great there. Having a little funnel worked great. I think trying new foods. I love a good Rice Krispie treat. Had one, garbage. I was this is the worst. So I took a bite, decided no, just shoved it in the vest and said I'll deal with that later. Same with a Snickers bar. A bite, no. And I don't know. I just struggled to figure out foods, and that definitely didn't help. But gummy bears did hit,
Wow.
surprisingly. But yeah, so I think overall I feel pretty good about it. I stayed on top of my sunscreen.
Good job. Thanks, Christine Miller.
Thanks, Christine Miller. My mother has drilled it into me. That is, you sunscreen all the time.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm too pale, okay, to be outside.
as it should be. I was also well sunscreened. My skin's amazing. Thank you.
Some prepared people, some unprepared people.
No, I think I would have. So a caveat to my nutrition. I did eat more than usual, which was about 0. But I would have done more. I didn't have a big breakfast. I had like a piece of toast with some peanut butter, and that was it. And then, yeah, I would have fueled better. I just, because towards the end, the real thing was like the nausea. My stomach turned over, and it was like, we gotta dump it all out. So I think I should practice better when I'm actually training to eat things. And then I probably would have slowed my pace down at the beginning, because we were kind of cruising
we were going.
at the very beginning.
Just race excitement,
Yeah.
It gets to you.
Yeah, I felt good about I didn't really notice the gravel until the very end, though. Like, the shoes were good. I felt good until that last little bit. But I think that was just like an added thing with the nausea. Another thing for me to be mad about. Which also fueled me to go better and run.
Yeah,
I just gotta get it over with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel like I never noticed the sloppiness of gravel until we hit the pavement. And I was like, wow, this is a load of difference.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on your feet.
Yeah.
They're already dying. That was wild. I feel like I picked the shoes right. I just usually wear trail shoes with some ankle support because I tend to roll my ankles really easily. But something I would change would be trying just to hydrate more. I just sweat a lot in general, and especially in running. And I think towards the end of the race, I just wasn't sweating anymore, and it was already too late in getting enough hydration in. Especially when it got hot too. That probably didn't help me at all. And so towards the end of that, I was just kind of feeling just sort of sloppy. But I felt like I honed in the gels and everything well.
All right, and with that, give me your kind of final high and low of the event and any closing remarks that you have on the Mid-South.
I think my high was honestly finishing. I was holding back sobs. I was so happy. I think one, to be done doing this very hard thing, but also to say that I did that. So I think that was for sure my high. And my low, or my high also could have been the first half. I felt so good for like the first 10 miles. I just felt incredible. I felt like I could hold that pace the whole freaking way. Of course I could not. Go look at my splits. They're not good. But those would be like my highlights of the race. My low was for sure swapping the water bottles. I don't know why I did that. That was just not good. But immediately after I did, then we hit the halfway aid station, and that's when I heard that remix. So it did kind of help.
That was your high.
That
the
was
remix.
yeah. Actually, cut the first part. That was my high.
Bill Nye.
High was, yeah, I guess just the accomplishment of finishing. I too got pretty emotional, but I was like, you're not gonna cry. Don't cry. And so I didn't, but I felt like it. I was running with Kevin and he was like, you got this, girl, keep going. And it did make me pretty emotional. So that was a good feeling, just that I did it. A low, there's nothing that really stands out as a low, to be honest. I think there was a fleeting moment when I was being kind of hard on myself in the hills in the sort of last few miles. I started walking them and I was like, come on, run it, but I just couldn't. And so but then I just sort of let go of that self-criticism. I was like, whatever, everyone else is walking, you're fine. Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
I think high was probably like having everyone do it together, and then probably watching Catherine finish. Like that was kind of the super cool, just because we've obviously done a lot of training together, and you convinced us to do at least a portion of this. So thank you for that. Proud to see you finish at 50K. So that was fun. The low was at the very end of the 50K. You're laying down just like absolutely beat at like after you've gone across the finish line, and the thought of biking 100 miles the next day, which Catherine and Kevin and myself did, was truly terrible. Like there was some existential like crisis there where it was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like I don't feel like I can walk to the car right now, let alone like bike 100 miles. So that went away, thankfully. But there was a moment there where I was like, it was dark.
My high is probably finishing. And then like I also had a lot of highs with like hanging out with like the women group that I was running with, which was really fun. And so they were like really supportive the whole way. And so that was a lot of fun there. And then like my low, which all of you guys were like, oh, we hit the pavement, right? That was like a high for you guys in a lot of ways. That was not my high. That was like, I started crying in a bad way. Because like, I think like my knee was like buckling out on me and I like couldn't walk. Like I found out that like walking actually hurt more than running and it took me like a mile to figure that out.
No.
That's when you know it's bad. And I was like, I could hear the like the crowd and the like the concert that was going on.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there. And I was like, I hate this so much. And then I like, it was really good to like finish and like be at the end and be like, oh God, we're done. And essentially leading up to this race, the women I'd run with, they were all like asking people, how do you train for a double? And everyone always said the comment of like, you don't think about the bike until tomorrow. And that was good advice. And I did not have the same existential crisis really at the end, which was nice.
Thrilled for you.
Yeah.
My high was when I finished and I tried to get water and they said, all we have is this Monster Energy drink. I took a sip of it and then I immediately went and threw up. And that was the high for me. And I thought, wow, this is beautiful. I was truly standing about a foot away from someone who was eating at a coffee shop. And I just started to throw up. It was beautiful. It was great. And then my low was when someone called me Bud. Actually, no.
Where on the course?
This was at an aid station. Or no, it was right after, and I was like jogging pretty slow. It looked like I was one of the fast-paced walkers in the Olympics. And they're like, hey, you got this, Bud. Get out of here. But actually, I take that back. The low was the concert after. Wowie, wowie. That's some singing.
Yeah,
that was actually, that was insane.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
I forgot. I wore these shorts that had strawberries all over them, and I got called Strawberry Girl so many times.
Yeah.
And it was like every time I was just, thank you, I am Strawberry Girl. So
That's the vibe of trail running
Better
right
than
there.
Yeah.
Is like you get a nickname
yeah,
just for existing out on the course.
yeah, that was awesome.
I think I agree with Caleb. What Caleb said, like the high was having everyone here. That was really fun, and just to be able to share this experience like with 4 brand new runners to the 50K at least, like that was really cool. I mean, of course, the high's got to be the Bobby hug too. I think having. I mean, my parents drove out to like 10 hours or so. Like that was really cool to see them like come all the way down and support all of us and all of us through this insane race.
Yeah,
so
that
was
They
really
were
cool.
great. Yeah, that was so cool.
I think just being there and seeing everyone accomplish it too was really neat. I don't think there really was a low for me. It did get hot and I did walk a lot of the hills too. It was just things started like seizing up and it was just sort of like, oh, we messed up on hydration or I don't know what it was. Beyond that, I mean, I do really enjoy that 50K race. It is a fun event.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Cool. Well, any closing thoughts on the Midsouth 50K? Have you signed up for next year yet? It's not open, but hypothetically.
You can sign up in October if you're interested in doing it again. Generally when it's open.
Closing thought, I gotta say, I am so impressed that you guys did the double.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
was
think I
insane.
ever
That was crazy.
verbalized that, but
Yeah.
very impressed. I can't imagine doing that after running a 50K. So, kudos.
I think the whole 50K, when I started to feel like down on myself or like, oh, this is just too hard for me, I was like, get it together. Because at least you're not doing that. They're doing both of these things. So yeah, that is super impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was super fun. Like, closing thoughts, if you can find friends that are awesome and push you and do fun things and experience things together, like, do that. It's incredible. So.
And if you're in Northwest Arkansas, you can join us every Wednesday at the Natural State Run Club.
6 p.m. maybe.
I think tagging on to that, we had a lot, Jacob and Krista, and we had a lot of other people there that were supporting us. And having that support, I mean, seeing it with the halfway point was just like,
oh my gosh, yeah. That was a high too.
It was so awesome.
Especially, there's got to be film out there. I've not seen it, I don't think. Or maybe I did. But coming up this kind of hill where our support group is at the top of the hill, but we saw this drone and we're like, wait, is that Dawson's drone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just like so cool because then you see them like cheering and it was just, yeah, that was a high too. That was really fun.
We got
And this guy.
to touch Terry.
And he
We're
gave
out
us
there.
our life back.
That was
I mean, that has to make it into like the lore of Midsouth at some point.
It has
It
to.
yeah.
will,
Like,
eventually.
So many people ask,
yeah, like, what is that?
What is that? Who
what's
is
this
guy?
pelican? Oh my gosh.
He's our mascot.
And you said,
Give
it's
me
a blue
freaking
heron.
break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thanks.
that was the high.
Cool. Well, appreciate you guys coming. Obviously, on some level, there were a couple of us that tried to convince you to do this, and it's a lot more fun when people say yes to doing things. We're told no quite a lot, so when you actually have friends that join you to do things, it's a lot more fun, and I hope that all of us experience that. So, sincerely, thank you for that. I think that's all we've got for now. We'll continue on. There's lots more content to be had, so if you'd like to see more of this, like and subscribe this video. And we'll have the 100-mile bike recap coming up next, so stay tuned for that.
Nice.